So I don't want to say too much beforehand because these movies they're going to be talking at you a lot for the next 80 minutes or so. But just briefly, I think sometimes about how certainly I'm not the first person to compare making films or videos to having children. And there are some obvious similarities. There are also some obvious differences, but if you'll indulge me, I just want to talk a bit about the obvious. Making a movie is kind of like having a child in that it's, not that I've had a child, so I don't really know, but I've seen it happen. Well, I've seen the result of it. And it's similar, I believe, in that you're having a part in creating something that is of your genetic material, but it also has a will of its own and takes its own shape. And when you watch this thing go into the world and interact with the world, you learn some things about it, you learn some things about the world, and you learn some things about yourself. So that's where the similarity is, but the difference is that, it's a simple difference, but it's a big one, is that children grow up and they learn things and they change, and movies don't. They just keep doing the same thing over and over, and they never learn from their mistakes. They just are what they are over and over forever. So this is sort of like a family reunion of all my little idiot children that just keep obsessively doing the same things over and over. But I hope you enjoy spending some time with them, and I'll be back afterwards to discuss what has happened. Thanks.
Language is a very important element in your movies, I would say. How do visuals and language balance in the creation process? Where does it start? And in the process until the final film, how does this relationship develop?
Well, I guess it kind of varies from piece to piece, but like it's usually, this might be fairly clear, but it usually starts with the words. And I have a piece of writing that I want to build a movie around. Then it's just a matter of taking that writing and sort of going through it step by step and thinking, just trying to devise what will be appropriate images for that. But it's always, it's a concern of mine not to make a movie that would be better served by just being an essay. And I think maybe some of them veer close to that, but I try to, even though it begins with the writing, I see some films and videos that I may really enjoy, but I think I almost rather would have just read the text of this, and it didn't need to be a time-based experience in that way. I guess I just struggle to create enough tension that something else is produced by their combination.
Did you ever write a book, or did you ever start writing a film and decided, well, this is better off as an essay, or did you?
Maybe. That sounds like something that probably has happened, but if it did, I don't remember. I wrote a book once for like a 3-day novel writing contest. I think I have a copy somewhere, but it's a good thing that it's a book and not a movie.
I posted on my Facebook the leader of your film today, and checking that on the internet. So one of the hits that was also very high was by Miranda July. And also your movies make me think of her work a bit. She did publish at least one book that I know of. What do you think of her work? How do you see yourself in comparison to her?
I don't know if I should answer the second question, but she her work was actually a really big early influence on me, and continues to be. One of the first film festivals I ever went to was Cinema Texas in Austin. Really great experimental festival, which actually a lot like IMPAKT in a lot of ways. And there I saw, I think maybe it was Miranda July's second or third video. It was called Nest of Tens. It's like this 22-minute piece, which is 4 separate stories that seem to have nothing to do with each other. And it's inscrutable and weird and funny and creepy, and it had a really strong effect on me, and I couldn't figure out why or how it was doing that, and that's always a really exciting experience for me. And I had never heard of her before, and then I saw a couple of her other videos. The Amateurist is this really excellent, like very simple, it's performance for the screen and a monologue, but she puts a really unique twist on it. And I saw a live performance she did called Swan Tool, which was this like hour-long movement and projection and talking. But anyway, I like her work a lot. I haven't seen her new movie yet. I hear people are really divided, but I also really appreciate how, like, her early videos, the credits always said a movie by Miranda July. Like, she was clear that even though I'm making something that is in a video art or experimental context, I consider it a movie. It is cinema, and that's something I feel very closely aligned to. And also, I really appreciate and identify with how, even though she's made a feature film now, she's not like, there are some people who make shorts and then they finally make a feature and it's like, oh good, now I've made a feature, I don't need to make shorts anymore. But she like maintains the feature film making career, but at the same time she's maintaining her art career, and I admire that a bit.
Linearity is kind of an issue in your work, I would say. Stupid coalescent becomers is maybe the word that deals with that the most. Still, you choose, although you play a lot with it, you still choose to do your work in maybe a medium that's the most totalitarian when it comes to linearity. Did you ever consider making a game where you would allow your audience to play according to patterns or more complex systems that you can set up in an interactive medium?
Not really. I'm just so like in love with the experience of going to the movies and being subject to totalitarianism for like an hour and a half, and like that's my understanding of what cinema is and can be, and I really like the experience of giving myself over to somebody else's thing for an hour and a half. And I'm just so locked into thinking that kind of way that I don't foresee any time in the future when I'll step outside of linearity.
In the introduction, you compared the program we saw tonight as your set of children, your family.
Yeah.
Imagine that it's just one child that we saw growing up, with the first film as a snapshot at age 1 or something. What age is the child now?
Well, in this program, on the basis of this, I guess the kid's 10 years old, because Rocket Man was, I forgot how old I was. But yeah, that was made in 2000. And then You Are Here, the feature that we saw the excerpt from, was made in 2010. So yeah, I guess it's a 10-year span.
Can you say anything about the direction that you would like to go after you've made You Are Here?
I'm kind of going in a lot of directions at once, which makes all of the progresses very slow. But like I have some projects, some video projects that I'm supposed to be working on, which are, I think, actually a fair bit more experimental than most of the stuff in this program. Like, which is, like I was saying, it's I would tick the experimental box, but I think most of this stuff is pretty, like, it has a sense of narrative. Anyway, so I want to go farther in that direction, and I have like lecture and performance stuff, which I'm trying to explore more. But I also I'm working on a few feature scripts, some of which are really weird, but some of which are, no, they're all pretty weird. But some of which are weird and would require a lot of money to make. So I don't know that this is actually, just hearing it come out of my mouth that way right now, I like don't have a lot of hope for that project getting funded. But it would be nice. What's the value of repetition? I mean, repetition is kind of an essential element of life and cognition and understanding. So, I mean, it's a basic. I'm being obvious again, but it's a basic unit of existence. But for whatever reason, it's one which I am drawn to, and I think it's also one that I have an ambivalent relationship with. Like, I really love repetition and rhythm and music, but I've had some experiences, some really, really negative psychic experiences which had repetition at their base. So I think often I'm coming from a standpoint of being drawn to repetition, but also being really afraid of it. And I think that fear is something which, I mean, it's at least it's in me when I'm making a lot of the work. And I think in some of the work more than others, I think that fear is an undercurrent that's there. Yeah, it's a love-hate relationship, and the thing that I wanted to make clear about You Are Here, which you don't get from just seeing an excerpt, is that it's a feature film, but it's composed of many different parts, and you saw one part, but these different parts are they're about different people, different situations. They are constructed in very different formal styles, some of them, and so your earlier question just made me think that you might get the impression from that excerpt that You Are Here, the feature film that it's from, is of a certain category, but it's actually sort of a melange of the categories that you were talking about, that you saw in the shorts program. So it's the Chinese Room is just one part of it. I like to let people draw their own connections and create, derive meanings specific to themselves. But in general, I'd say that it's a movie comprised of a lot of different universes, and in each universe there is a person or persons who is really grappling with their relationship to the system that they are part of. Whether that's the world, or whether that's a room, or whether that's an archive, or whether it's a multiplication of their own personality. A lot of impossible situations, but which all are sort of attacking the same ideas from different angles.
Please give a warm applause for Daniel Cohen.